and welcome to Smart at Conclave, hosted by ABP Live. It's been an afternoon of absolutely wonderful, insightful, detailed conversations. We've spoken about technologies, we've spoken about AI. I'm very stressed about the students of today, actually. And I think what we're talking about today is about the young leaders, students in school. In the previous session, we spoke a lot about AI and how skills need to be developed, how teachers need to train themselves. So, as senior educators, I would first like to thank you all for attending, for becoming a part of Smart Ed Conclave. And let's just jump to the question. Are students stressed right now with the way technology and programming and marks, assessment? How stressed do you think students and parents are? Let's start with you, ma'am.
You know, the word stress is as common as bacteria now. Everybody is stressed. So I think students, teachers, parents, principals, everybody is stressed. The question is not about whether they are stressed or not. The question is, what do they do when they are stressed? And that's the preparedness which schools have to delve into.
Absolutely, very rightly said.
So first of all, good afternoon, and it's quite a pleasure being here. As far as stress is concerned, well, what are they stressed about? Because you mentioned a number of things. So stress is obviously a part, as she rightly mentioned, of everyone's life. But if you talk about exams today, because you mentioned actually technology and exams, two things. When it comes to exams and evaluations, and yeah, kids are stressed, parents are even more stressed, and therefore they stress their kids. So stress is a part, and I think as educators, our work is to relieve that stress. It's what do you do in your school and outside your classrooms also to relieve that stress. But as far as technology is concerned, I think educators are more stressed than the kids are. They're falling in love with it. They're trying it. The stress for us as educators, more than the kids, is how are they using it? How much are they using it? We've been discussing that. So I think stress is very much there. How do you handle it? How do you train your children to handle stress? Well, that's our job.
Absolutely. Father John, what's your opinion about, and I'll ask you, and I'll come to the point why I'm talking about stress, because apart from exams and technologies, there's one more thing, but I want your opinion on children and parents' stress.
I believe stress is part and parcel of life. And today, as we move ahead in life, stress has become a day-to-day affair. We are stressed about the past, stressed about the present, stressed about the future. As ma'am said, it's all how we handle it, how we can handle it effectively. Certain amount of stress is needed. You know, stress we have to go through, but that stress gives us the competitiveness. That stress gives us the ability to perform. That stress gives us that we need to compete in this world to survive. So stress is needed, but at the same time, we have to understand how to handle the stress that is affecting our health, our emotions, our thoughts and everything.
Absolutely. So as teachers, as educators, you've taken the role of responsibility कि हम आपका स्ट्रेस कम करेंगे. हमें पता है स्ट्रेस है लेकिन हम कम करेंगे. Now comes the question of assessment. Now that is something that a lot of students, a lot of parents are worried about. So in today's time, what should assessment measure? Memory, understanding, skill of application. What is it that I don't think there's one thing that we can focus on. So let's talk about the assessment part of things. Yes, yeah.
All right, so evidently, assessment is a fearful word. No more, because we've actually delved deeper into assessment and we have tried to understand what assessment is doing, the functionality of assessment. Over a long period of time and endorsed by NEP, assessment is part and parcel of learning. Assessment is not separated from learning. So while we are assessing for learning, assessing of or about learning, and even assessing while we are learning, which means that we've got to make the students and teachers and parents comfortable with that assessments and examinations are part and parcel of the learning process. They are not separated by it, but yes, there are different functionalities, motives, purposes of different types of assessments, and we have to accept it. Now, you ask whether assessment is testing memory or is it assessing, it's testing content or is it testing application, etc., etc. So my answer to you is that it's supposed to test everything. We in the current era are trying to talk a lot about competencies, a lot about skills, but let me also share with you that knowledge of content is not any which way less important. Anybody, you may talk to an MBBS doctor, you may talk to a data scientist, you may talk to a teacher. Everybody will vouch for the fact that knowledge of content is equally important. It is not that we just straight away come to the application in Bloom's taxonomy. We have to first learn to comprehend, to understand, to synthesize, to analyze. So everything takes steps in a ladder. So assessment has to approach, has to address all these steps in the ladder. No one step is less important. So as educators, we have to make sure that all these ladders are addressed and respected. Number two, we have to communicate the same to the parents, because the problem is not that the students are stressed. It is a superimposed stress on the child from different quarters. It's like we all have been brought up in that culture of fearing for exams. And we have not been able to wean ourselves out of it. So the parents still continue to talk about board exams aa rahe hain, पढ़ना शुरू कर दो, बोर्ड एग्जाम्स आ रहे हैं, बाहर खेलने नहीं जाओगे, बोर्ड एग्जाम्स आ रहे हैं, ये नहीं करोगे, वो नहीं. It is an induced stress. Whereas, while what we see right now is that there are so many opportunities for the child to improve, to get the paper re-evaluated, to just understand that this is not the end of the world. But still there is a mindset amongst the parents which is being shared, which is being transferred to the child, that assessment is the end of everything. So I personally feel that there's a lot of unlearning to be done in the minds of the parents, and to some extent teachers, and to some extent the schools. But the student, who is at the core of it all, is only a byproduct of all these stressors.
You say this, ma'am, what you're saying is absolutely right. But in today's time, I think marks, while you say marks are not important, it's your skills, it's your competency which is important, but society, parents, teachers still make it look like marks ही सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. Ma'am, I'd like your opinion on this. Assessment हमने समझ लिया, unlearning is required, and how you're assessing the child is important, but marks भी तो बहुत important बन गए हैं कि that's the only thing.
It's the way you see it. It's the way society has been made to see it. It's the way the schools portray it. Actually, marks are the easiest measure of success, let me tell you. It's the easiest measure. I don't know about success, but it's the easiest measure. It's something that we've been doing for eons and generations and all over. So obviously everyone, and then another thing is, you see, even she mentioned that, it's about what are we doing with our parents, with our kids. Are we trying to tell them what is assessment for? The most important thing is to understand, why am I being assessed? If I'm being assessed, there is a purpose. The purpose is to know where I stand. The purpose is to know what are my gaps. The purpose of a teacher or a school is to see, including the parents, how do I then fill up these gaps? What is the way I teach to, overcome whatever are the obstacles that the child is facing when it comes to learning and for me to teach? When we explain to the children the purpose of teaching, and we approach it in a different way, rather than marks, children will try not to give importance to marks. Why are marks given importance? It's because whether it's our government examinations from a CBSE to all, we ultimately celebrate marks there. When it comes to our IIT entrances, it may not be marks, it's a percentile. Everything depends on that. So as an institution, as a school, am I actually telling children, one, that I mentioned the purpose, and the other thing is to tell them that your success in life is not going to be defined by the marks you get. Your worth is not going to be defined by your performance in an exam and the marks that you get. It's much more. And we have been mentioning in the morning also, somebody mentioned the HPC because it's a very important part. The Holistic Progress Card is an important part of the NEP. So what is it trying to do? It's trying to tell us that marks is not the only thing. You should be emotionally resilient. You should be socially, upbeat, and you should be socially be able to communicate, etc. And we just spoke about employability. So when we're talking about employability, it's not about marks today. You go with your marks to any interview, and actually today they keep it on the side because there are so many who get the same marks. So then they say in an interview, these are your marks. What is it that defines you besides these marks? So if we as educators understand this, implement this, talk to every stakeholder, our children, our parents, and of course the teachers too, and we as educational leaders, when we talk about marks not being the most important thing, and employability skills, which comes down to problem solving, to communication, everything that we have discussed and will be discussing, when we say that that's more important than marks, automatically marks will be given less of importance. And the last thing, therefore, we will not take the easy way out, because if I have to assess besides marks, there are many other things that I need to really change in my school. There are many other, ways that I need to talk to my parents to get them on board. So let's not take the easy way out. We have to believe in holistic growth of the child. For that, many things have to change. A tougher path has to be taken.
And when we're talking about this, I think communication is now what becomes extremely important. And that's the topic as well, the communication advantage. Father John, I'd like your opinion on this. Obviously, marks we discussed, but now communication. Even the most confident or bright student who's getting great marks might not be very great in communication or expression or be able to manage those skills. How are schools training those students to be equally competent in communication?
Ma'am, I also agree that assessment should be of 360-degree assessment, where a child is assessed holistically, his ability to read, to write, to speak. I have seen so many students, the parents say, oh, my child got A+, A++. But when I ask that child few questions in English, or write a paragraph in English, or to express something, he is unable to. So he has got the marks, but he has not developed the skill, the employability skills, the personality skills, the life skill, the soft skill, the problem solving skill, the organizational skills he has not mastered. What's the use of the marks? So now what I believe personally is that a teacher in the classroom, parents today, they are worried about the grades or the marks because they are competing among their colleagues, among their neighbors. The parents are in competition, not the students. So when we used to have programs for students in career guidance, many of the students used to tell me, Father, why don't you do this program for our parents? Because they need some of these career guidance more than the children. So when we are able to assess the child, whether the child is competent on the left brain or on the right brain, whether this child has got this multiple intelligence, when Howard Gardner talks about 9 types of intelligence, there are different children suited with different intelligence and their qualities developed in there. Or whether a child is emotionally stable, or he has got the lateral thinking ability, thinking out of the box. And then when he or she is able to communicate, as ma'am was saying, when a child goes for an interview, they are not worried about his marks. Whether he can express, authentically, whether he can speak with good English or good grammar, because now we speak about world, accessibility, cross-border collaboration, digital connectivity, and one language that stands out is English. And I know there are so many English medium schools in our country. But when these English medium school, when their children come with 98, 99 marks, when we interview them, they are unable to express. So that communication ability should be expressed. I remember when I was the principal of the school, many of my children couldn't read, they couldn't speak, they couldn't write. And ours was a very famous school. Then I said, get rid of all the textbooks, introduce, spoken English, introduce elocution manual, let our children learn to read, to speak, to write. And when we did that, those children are blooming today. So the communication ability, and I know thanks to Edward, it is one of those publishing companies that is good in the communicating English language. And I believe that if our children are taught good English, our English medium schools, rather than the grades and marks, our children will have a brighter and better future.
From the subjects such as science, mathematics, social science, etc., these are always and should be part of the report card. There should be a significant portion of the report card dedicated to the soft skills which are not soft anymore. Those are actually employability skills.
Crucial
Those
skills.
are crucial skills. Those are skills which are going to guarantee your future success. So imagine two students having the same marks in class 12th, getting into the same university or college. But when they come out, one student has the ability to question, has the ability to articulate their thoughts, has the ability to listen attentively, has the ability to ask doubts, has the ability to present his or her thoughts well. And the other one who has just studied and felt that this degree is going to give me future success, the industry is going to naturally pick the one with better thinking skills. Correct. So, my answer is that the report card also should prepare our learners for the life outside the school walls. And outside the school walls, there is demand for people who collaborate, who communicate well, who have the ability to. I actually would like to say that there are many candidates who come to us who have fancy degrees, but they don't even know how to dress up well for interviews. Nobody has taught them. It is not their mistake. Such things have to be part of a school's curriculum, and seriously so. It should not be just for optics. It should not be a farce that we also have this. This has to be there and should be given equal weightage in terms of time, in terms of human resource. Because what we are doing, mostly, the same teacher who's teaching English, you also teach, for example, wellness. If you are teaching social studies, you also teach current affairs. But we never give it a thought that we may need a teacher who can teach communication, who is well versed with how to teach communication, who herself or himself has learned the subject, the discipline of communication. So I think in our own minds first that change has to come, then only it will be visible in the school.
Okay, so I wanted to just add one thing before I go to your question. I think it's very important because I think you asked that question, but I wanted to add on it. So I think it's very important for us in schools. We have been speaking about, content not being the master. So as schools, whenever we are teaching, as teachers again, are we really keeping this in mind, that what is the competency that is going to be taught? Why I'm connecting the two is, content is only a tool. If I teach English, it's only a tool. I don't believe in any add-ons, to be very frank, okay? I believe that when a teacher teaches, she keeps the competency in mind and teaches in English or a maths or a science, and the aim, my design, my lesson plan, the objective should be I'm going to increase the child's or add to the child's communication or collaboration, problem solving, analytical skills. So I think we have to kind of, you have to turn the prism, the triangle, I would say, see it through a different prism and turn the triangle completely. Now, having come to the question that you just asked about, what will be the report
future
card
look like?
So, coming to the report card, I think again, we have to be visionaries, which means what is the future looking like, which again, we don't know what it's going to be looking like. Therefore, we have to prepare children for something we don't know. And therefore, I think our report cards should add all competencies. Pooja just mentioned a few of them. Besides that, problem solving, creativity, yes, all yes. I think that's really going to rule the roast are, of course, technological skills. Adaptability, I think, is very important because we just don't know what are we coming to. So adapting. Resilient, because there are going to be failures. Are we really being resilient? These are the things that should come up on my report card. And ethics, very, very important. And ethics in technology, very, very important. I think, last line, who's going to get employability and who's going to sustain in the job that they are in, okay? Children who have all this and whose character is very high. I think people are looking for honest, hard-working people. Do we really, really work on values and character building in our classrooms? It takes time, and everybody needs to work towards it in the ecosystem of education. I think that'll come right on top of my report card.
I think every teacher needs to be as passionate as you are right now. I think that's where we see the difference. We've discussed these skills are not soft skills anymore. We're very clear on that. And I think a report card for both teachers and students might be very important in the future. Right, sir?
Yeah. Absolutely. The teachers also needs to be evaluated. I think a teacher should make sure that a child is learning, because teaching should lead to learning, then to understanding of what they have listened to or what they have learned. Then they should be able to apply that knowledge. And after applying that knowledge, they begin to question. And when they question, they come out with answers, they come out with creativity, they come out with the new ideas. So I wish our children growing up today, they develop in themselves this ability to listen with intent, and then able to process what they have listened clearly and critically, and process that knowledge and able to express in a consistent, in a logical manner. I think we would have developed our students. They need to listen with intent and process that what they have listened and express with authenticity. I wish if our schools, our teachers and our children grow up like this, we have a wonderful future.
But thank you so much for joining us at ABP Live Smart at Conclave. Thank you.